So today we're going to be going through our Instructor Software for Leonardo. So first things first, we're going to get into the software and we're going to choose a scenario. We'll go to Themes, Healthy Patient, and press Start. You can change the parameters before you want to start or just start immediately. Alright, so in here, it's a pretty clean layout of how everything is going to run. So over here in the Brain tab, you have Trismus, where you can turn it on and his jaw will lock. You also have convulsions, where you can pick between tonic or clonic convulsions, whichever one you want. When we go back, you also have the eyes. So the eyes can be in sync or work independently, so you can have one of them closed, one of them reactive to light or not reactive to light. You can have it dilated or constricted, or you can adjust the blink rate if you want. Going back here, you also have airway. So you have tongue edema, 100% and 50% tongue edema. You also have tongue fallback, pharyngeal obstruction, and laryngospasm. Here you have the pulse strength, so you can change the pulses whether you want them normal, you can have them weak or none, or even strong. And you can also change whether you want them to be on both arms, both legs, or both pulses for the carotid or any of that stuff. Here's where also you will change the cyanosis. So you can put cyanosis on and have the blue lights on the mannequin turn on to represent the cyanosis. In the lungs, you can change whether you want left side or right side pneumothorax. You can also change the resistance and the compliance of the lungs here as well. Auscultation sounds, you can change the heart sounds. You have a library of different heart sounds you can choose from. Same thing with the lung sounds. We added COVID lung sounds as well, especially during this pandemic. It's important to know what they sound like so you can diagnose it better. Same thing for the right side of the lungs. You can have them in sync as well. And then bowel sounds, you can also choose from a few different ones here. Croak-off sounds you can have there. You can click on more sounds and you can get a more precise look at where you want each sound to be represented in the lungs or in the heart or the bowels. So continuing to move on here, we also have bleeding. So he does come with add-ons where he can bleed from. So you can have them bleed from the left arm, left leg, right leg, or the torso, and you can choose how much you want him to bleed, which rate. Also, he has secretions. So he does have ear secretions, he does have mouth, nose, and sweat. He can also cry and urinate as well. All within a click of a button and just moving this dial here. He does have patient words. There's 7 different pages of phrases he can say. And you can just choose whichever one you want. And you can also speak through the patient up here at the top right. So for the vitals over here on the right side, you can change the rhythm pretty easily. You just click on it and then you can have a multitude to choose from. You can go to VFib if you want. You can adjust the heart rate here if you want. All this stuff you can change PEAs. I know that's important. You can put a delay on it so you can transition from sinus rhythm to VFib over a certain amount of time if you want that to happen as well. If you want to change the heart rate itself, you can just click on it, double click here. If you want it to change to a faster number or slower number, or you can just use the dial and do that and just slide it back and forth. And you can also put a delay on there as well. Same thing with the SpO2, the EtCO2, and the blood pressure and respiratory rate. You can all change that, and all of your changes will appear over here in the action log. All the changes that the instructor makes to the vitals and the patient will appear up here, and so will everything that the student does will appear here as well. So we have sensors. So if you place these in the right spots, these sensors will glow, and then you'll let them know that they're in the right spot. Right here is our defibrillation tab. So if we have a running rhythm, so if our running rhythm was, let's say, ventricular fibrillation, you have there. And then you can have a waiting rhythm, which will be sinus rhythm. So right here where it says quantity under defibrillation, you can choose how many times you want the students to shock. So if you choose it 4 times, after the 4th shock, it will automatically switch to the waiting rhythm, which is sinus rhythm. And right here we also have a CPR feedback tool, so we can measure the depth, the rate, how many ventilations you give, how many shocks you deliver, and your hand placement on the mannequin. All right, now we'll show you the debriefing system. So the debriefing system is easy to find. It's under the debriefing tab, and you can choose whichever section that you want to see the debrief on. So you just press start, and here everything will pop up that happened in the session itself. So on this left side here, you'll see everything that happened in the previous session. So we press play, and then you'll see the vitals pop up. Everything will continue. There's timestamps, so you can click on it and then see what happened at that time. So here we made the patient bleed. Here we made the patient urinate, and then here we made the patient go into VFib, and all of that changes. If you were to attach a camera, all the feed will pop up here, and you'll see them all in real time, everything with the audio exactly how you want it. All the CPR feedback you can get here as well, the ventilations, the defibrillation, the compressions, all of the quality is all down here as well, and then the description of the patient. I will show you our scenario constructor. For those who want to make their own scenarios, you will have the ability to do so pretty easily here. So here, you can either do, you can open a previous existing one and edit it how you want, or you can just start a new one. So here we'll type in a scenario name, we'll say MedVision, and then press OK. And then here you'll have your template. So right here is the initial state. You just click and drag it if you want to move it. You'll see a pencil mark in the top right corner of the box. You just click that and then adjust the vitals how you want. You can add the name of the state that you want or a short description. You can change the vitals, so if you want them to start at a higher heart rate, let's say 80, you can have that done there. If you want the patient to start with trismus or convulsions, you can add that. The changes that you make will appear in the changes box. So if you want him to even start in ventricular fibrillation, you can have him do that. All the changes will pop up here, so you can double check, and then you just press OK. Now in order to add a new state, you just click this big red box down here, click and drag, and then edit this state how you want as well. So we'll keep it sinus rhythm. So if you want to make it go from the initial state to the first state, you can just you just click and drag, and then the trigger will pop up. So you can adjust the trigger as well. You can rename it, or you can add the triggers. So you can add them in a specific order. So if you need the students to do things in a chronological order, you can add that, or they can do things at any time. So we'll say anytime. So to go from VFib to sinus rhythm, the first things you probably want to do is start CPR. So start CPR, and then perhaps you want to shock. You can just press shock, deliver shock, and then press add there. And then once you added all of the triggers that you want, you press OK. So once the students perform these triggers, the state will automatically go to the next state. Now, if you wanted to transition from one state to another over time, you click to the state you want to transfer it from. Down here in the bottom left, you'll see next state. Just click the drop down tab, click the state that you want it to go to. So in this case, state 1. And then you can choose how much time you want to pass before you go to the next state. So we'll say 1 minute and 5 seconds. Press OK. And then if they don't do any of this stuff, it will automatically go to this state after 1 minute and 5 seconds. It's pretty easy to use, so you can just add states as many as you want and make a branch and just have a bunch of different opportunities and different scenarios you can run in one. You can just have them all flow together or flow separately. You can create a bunch of different scenarios for different outcomes that you could possibly see. Then when you are finished, you just press Save As, and then it will automatically save it into the area where you will need to save it for it to appear in the software. So you'll just rename it, press MedVision, and then press Save. And then you're good to go.